Many believe the secret behind a successful startup is to have a unique business idea and a good product. While, of course, these things are indeed important, there are many examples of completely ordinary products and ideas that have been successful due to a good business model, structured sales, and effective distribution. And by the same token, there are so many examples of fantastic ideas and products that have failed miserably due to the wrong business model. The term business model was introduced in the groundbreaking book Business Model Generation by Alexander Osterwalder and Yves Pigneur. Ashmore has made a variation on BMC called Lean Canvas. Our version tries to take the best from these two models and simplify them to make them usable. In his 1991 book Crossing the Chasm, Geoffrey Moore states that everyone has a different attitude towards purchasing new products or services. He separates all potential customers into the early market and the mass market. These groups act so differently when faced with a new product that Moore means there is a chasm between the early and the mass market. The early market consists of technology enthusiasts and visionaries. Both these groups like untested technology. They willingly accept the role of the pilot customer, and they often have clearly defined visions of the product or service they desire. They have a high tolerance for defects in developing products and don't need references from other users. The mass market's primary concern is that the product or service they purchase must provide value. They want products that work, and they need references to testify that it does. If you have a brand new product, you can't possibly have any references, and without references, you can't sell to the mass market. The logical solution is to first sell to the early market and use them as references. These early market customers fit into the early adopters box, and to find the right early adopters, you need to limit your target group in as many dimensions as possible. Powerboard has good relations with the management in CNET in San Francisco. One evening, the R&D manager suggests that they buy all the test boards and lend them to their employees. He figures the board may save half an hour of commuting every day. As he says, if that time can be spent working instead, it's a no-brainer. You should have a clear idea of the value the customer expects from the product you supply. The Powerboard team found a value proposition that they love. They claim they can offer the lightest motorized vehicle in the world. That means they will be able to offer value in any situation where you have to carry the vehicle for part of your route. John makes the board lighter and increases the battery capacity so that the board can go 30 miles between each charging. He also wants to build an app that can combine battery charge status with train times and map distances. Powerboard believe they will need a professional investor to help them finance and grow the company. They feel that one of the skilled business angels in Silicon Valley would be perfect for this role. Sales can be done in a number of ways. Powerboard's main sales plan is to target campaigns towards specific companies that employ many young commuters. The CNET project is the first attempt at such a campaign. And the final box in the business model is how you should charge for your product. Powerboard has considered a few creative pricing models. They think a subscription model for companies employing many young commuters sounds very promising. Another option is to sell the boards for a one-off price.